Done it. Nailed it. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? Anybody seen Steve? Steve! Steve. Has anybody got Steve's WhatsApp number? We might need him. We might need him. I'm going to have a glass of water. No, I won't have a glass of water. The pensions minister needs that. Well, gosh, here we are, eh? I guess it's just me. Hey! Hello, Steve.
All right.
Where have you been?
I've been outside. I got lost. It's pissing rain out there, man.
That's all right. I think some of the stands have got umbrellas on them.
Oh, God.
It's probably a bit late to tell you that now.
Oh, man.
All right. Here we are. Thank you for coming. It's lovely to see you all here, and it is especially lovely to have our streamers with us as well. As you probably know, with all of these sessions now, we stream them for folk at home that can't be here. We've got cameras dotted around the room, and I hope you're seeing and hearing us loud and clear. We'll never know. I'll never know if you're not, because I'm here. But I hope you are anyway. So, shall we get on with it?
I'm genuinely out of breath. I'm not joking. This isn't a bit. Yeah. So the theme for the day, Mark, right? We had loads and loads and loads and loads of ideas, and we whittled them down progressively until we landed at yours.
Yes. That's because it was the best one.
It's true.
It is true. It is true. So,
well, the first part's true.
The theme of our day is regenerate. You might have noticed in the enormous signs. And it's worth taking a moment on why we've settled on that. And firstly, it is because it was my idea and a good one. But I know, and I guess we've been guilty of this too, oftentimes conferences try to create a fake sense of jeopardy or momentum, or the fact that this time something's really different and everything's about to change, and therefore you must come to this conference, otherwise you'll never ever know how to cope with it all. And that's not what we wanted to do this time. And what we wanted to point out is that, first of all, things, of course, lots of things are changing, and we're going to talk about those all the way through the day, right? We've got regulatory sessions, we've got lessons from elsewhere. We'll take you through the agenda in a moment. We've got loads and loads of angles to look in at the industry from. But, like you saw in the video, the seeds of what we need to deal with all this stuff are already here. And some firms are always further ahead than others, or are having to deal with issues earlier than other firms. So we want to do a mix today of diving into some of the topics with regulatory experts and all that kind of stuff, but also we want to hear from practitioners who are coping with some of these issues now and who are regenerating their businesses as the industry regenerates itself in a post-consumer duty world and all that kind of stuff. We wanted to get that sense of things progressing, not one kind of event horizon we've got to get through, a sense of progression and a sense of, I guess, constructiveness as part of that. And the theme fits very well for where we are today. I hope the streamers can get a sense of how beautiful the room we're standing in is. And for those of you that aren't here, the area we're in King's Cross has undergone huge regeneration over the last, I don't know, actually 20, 30 years, something like that. I suspect if this was 2004, we wouldn't be doing a conference out the back of King's Cross. Or it'd be a very different kind of conference if we were. And even the room in which we're sat, this astonishing auditorium at King's Place, all the wood cladding you see around you here is all from one tree. The tree had a name. It was called Contessa in a kind of managed German woodland. It was a 500-year-old tree, and when it was time for it to come down, the owners of the woodland wanted this huge tree to be one project. And from that tree, they managed to get an acre of wood cladding, and that's what you see around you right now. The room you're in is also, it's kind of on springs. It's a box within a box. This is completely shielded from the rest of the building. And it goes to show that astonishing things can come from maybe the end of something, but the seeds of what you need to make something amazing coming up can be from where you were before. So everything, I hope, fits nicely together. And we're going to have a good day.
Yeah, let's look at the agenda.
Okay.
So opening nonsense aside, and if this is your first Lancat event, it does get normal any minute now.
Well, let's just actually, by show of hands, right? Who's here for the first time? Who's at a Lancat event for the first time? Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
You know, Steve, I've always been extremely proud of how few repeat visitors to our events we get.
One might argue we want to touch every single person in financial services just once.
Just once. Do you want to pick up the tissue you just dropped on the stage? It's this level of professionalism that keeps people not coming back. And eventually, I suppose, eventually we'll move through everybody, and then we'll start playing progressively smaller and smaller and smaller rooms. And we'll end up being like one of those bands that used to be big, and now he's playing club tours because we really like being close to the audience. Better connection. Those arenas and stuff, they were so soulless. We don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that, mate. We don't want to do that. But listen, let's fire through our agenda for today. So first up, proper serious session. You don't need a chump like me to talk to you about pensions, right? You know all the changes that have indeed already happened, but are going to happen down the line. Everything that's happening with auto-enrollment, the transient workforce, is going to fundamentally disrupt the pensions framework, architecture, legislation, products, advice, all that kind of stuff. We've got two of the leading lights in the UK to talk you through that today. We have the current generation of the Pensions Minister, Mr. Paul Maynard, and he's going to be interviewed by our very own Minister for Pensions, Mr. Tom McPhail.
So that's coming up as soon as we've finished this part of the day. I was going to say nonsense, but it's not nonsense. There's no nonsense here. Next up, running events is really stressful. Don't know if you've ever tried, but it is. What makes it even more stressful is trying to do a live video link to Australia and America in a session that's live in the room. 3 continents, 1 session hosted by the most recent joiner of the Lancat ranks, Katie Pigden. And this is basically a hazing for Katie. So we're going to have a live link to regulatory experts from Australia and from America who've got direct experience of the fee for no service and Royal Commission and all that stuff, and from the DOL fiduciary reforms in the States. And we're going to try and draw lines from that to what we're going through in the UK. It's going to be, God, please let it work. It's going to be awesome if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll all just pretend it does. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Continuing the theme of extremely stupid decisions, we took the decision to launch our biggest research report of the year today, on the same day as our biggest event. And my great colleague Rich Mayer is going to join me on stage to take you through the first findings of that result. But if you're a member of the advice profession and you took part, you should have got an email from me yesterday from my wee desk in the Premier Inn, King's Cross, with the research report, because it's your data and you get it first. So we're going to talk through that at 20 to 12, probably a bit later.
Not just
started.
Yeah, not just the industry that's regenerating itself, it's Steve's hairline is regenerating back the way. As we do that, mine went a long time ago. But there we go. Then a spot of lunch, which will be back up where you had your coffee. So you go back out those doors and up the stairs, but we'll tell you what to do at the time. We've got about an hour for lunch, and then I'll bring us back from lunch, and we're going to look at how the advice sector can regenerate the kind of client banks that it works with. You may not want to do that, and you hear constantly pressure to close the advice gap and serve less affluent clients and all that kind of stuff. But there's another option, which is to look upmarket to the area that's been the purview of the private banks and the wealth managers, with the really expensive wristwatches and all that kind of stuff. There's some firms doing that absolutely brilliantly at the moment. We're going to sit down and chat away to a couple of those about what the industry can do to better support and how they go about it.
After that, we've got a session on artificial intelligence. Now, at the same time as we were collecting State of the Advisor Nation data, we asked you, what do you want to focus on? What do you want us to focus on our next event? And unanimously, the number one topic was artificial intelligence. Now, we've all had fun, particularly if we're pathetic men like me, making ourselves look more attractive via AI. It would be crass to name names of people who I've seen doing it on Twitter, so I won't embarrass Greg Moss, or Tom Ham, or Mr. Mark Locke from the Lancat, who's the biggest proponent of that in the world. No, this is about how artificial intelligence might help the advice profession regenerate in their own way. We've got someone in that session from Aviva, Mr. Ewan Mitchell, who's at the coalface of doing that right now. He's actually developing some of this stuff. He's going to take us through an AI 101 along with a discussion with the advice profession.
Yep. Then, listen, you don't normally come to a Lancat event and expect a technical session, but you get one. And this comes because we were chatting with some paraplanners who said to us, look, there's a big change coming or happening already in their business and the firms that they work with, where a whole generation of planners and advisors are starting to have to deal with bonds again, and they're not used to it. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that. We'd chat to some businesses that are writing bond business and choosing to do so, you know, at some clip, and it's not because there's commission on them, because there isn't. And we're going to be joined by somebody that really knows what they're talking about as well. And we'll have a little bit, we'll just get our geek on for half an hour or so, and I think you'll enjoy it. In fact, I know you will.
Plus, Mark, if you put the word bonanza next to a dry subject, that instantly makes it better.
10% more entertaining.
The kind of marketing tips that we dish out behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
After a short break, we've got a keynote from Kate Blatchford-Hick from the FCA. You don't need me to talk about all the change in regulation that's happened and is going to happen. She's going to take us through what's on the regulator's agenda, particularly focusing on the advice guidance boundary work. So hang around for that. It's going to be great.
After that, Natalie will bring us home with our last session, Let's Regenerate, and that's got some planners. I'll tell you how to find out more about all the individual speakers in a moment, who have gone through major regeneration projects in their own business and are going to open up about all that. Lots of chances for chat and questions and so on there. So a brilliant end to the day, I think. We'll finish. I know there's been travel stuff and everything today, so we may push our finish time a little bit, but we'll catch up some time as well through the day. We'll finish around 4:30. Now, immediately afterwards, we go back up to where lunch was, and there's going to be drinks and food there. That will take us through to about 6.
No. Step down, big man. Now, normally we'd go to a free bar immediately after the conference. We'd normally go to a free bar. But they're becoming a little bit kind of passé. I think everybody's a little bit over it. So I thought, as a special treat, especially for those of you in the room who've made it through the traffic, who've made it through the weather, we didn't advertise this in advance, but I thought, just think of it like 1994, Pulp Fiction's just out, Tarantino walks in the room and does a director's commentary. We're going to sit down at 4:30. We're going to do a watch-along of Pointless. Series 30, episode 31. The Pointless is about 45 minutes. With questions, I think we can, about an hour and a half, shoot through it. There'll be photo opportunities afterwards for those of you who want them.
Put the award away. I've said before, your trousers are going to fall down with that in the back of it.
He's not joking. This is actually surprisingly small and surprisingly heavy, much like a typical Scotsman. So yeah, you can have a photo with that later if you want.
We're not going to do a watch-along with Pointless, don't worry. But what we are going to do is head back out to our drinks reception. That'll take us through to about 6 o'clock when we'll move into the Rotunda, which is just upstairs and out the back. It's a beautiful bar being dressed beautifully by our evening sponsor, Nucleus, and then we can be in there for hours and hours. There's a big free bar, loads of food, music, all going on, and we hope lots of you will stay with us for as late as you can possibly manage. From what I can tell, if you're here, the travel's pretty difficult anyway, so screw it, stay over. I think Steve's got room in his hotel room. I don't know. There is a script, but we see it more as a kind of inspiration thing rather than something we have to stick to. Let's do our quick logistics, and then shall we get some senior member of the government out here instead of us cocking about?
Yeah.
All right. We'll start from the right. Now, listen, if you are streaming, if you're at home, hello, we still remember you. We love you very much. And I don't know why I'm doing that, because there's literally no cameras up there. They're over there. Hi. Hi.
Hi. I've been waving up there for about 10 minutes.
You don't need to do any of this stuff, right, that we're just about to show you. Everything you need is in front of you on the online platform that you've got already. All kinds of people are making sure that that works behind the scenes. So this is for the people in the room, right? On your badges, as well as up on the screen there, are 3 QR codes. Now, I'll go right to left, okay? The QR code on the right is bonus content. some interesting stuff from us, and the traditional, albeit online in this day and age, feedback form. Now, usually, conference organisers will ask you to fill out the feedback form at the end. Let the record show, I'm very happy for you to do it now, as long as you mark everything that you liked it. So, you know...
probably peaked.
It probably has, yeah. The second QR code.
Yeah, so the second QR code it's not a traditional QR code that takes you to a browser. That generates a text message within your phone. That text message, if you send it, will donate money to the Samaritans. Please keep your powder dry, because in Rich and I's session just before lunch, we'll be talking a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so don't use that one yet, but around lunchtime, you're definitely going to want to use it. And I say that, you're definitely going to want to donate. All right, if you want to get out of here alive. The left-hand one is the one that you're really going to need. So could I ask everybody just to take their phones out of their pockets, please, if you haven't already? Hopefully, when you registered, you were told about the chat platform. This is on your badges as well, because this QR code here is going to disappear soon. And the chat and the voting, there are going to be just a few polls through the day for when it really makes sense to do it. So you'll need it for that, but you'll also need it for asking questions in most of the sessions. Okay, we do have roving mics for some of them, but it's quite a big room. There's quite a few of you here. So we will take most questions via the Ask a Question bit on that online platform. So that you've got to log into it. It's just your email address and the details that you registered with. And if you have problems with that, then at lunchtime, grab one of the guys in the green t-shirts and we'll sort you out. But you can need it for voting. You can do chat and stuff as well, but it is the main way of asking a question. That will come to an iPad that we have on stage here. It will be moderated, so any little funny smart-arsey sort of questions we'll know. We'll also know who asked them, and I will read out the stupidest ones and name them. We'll also, because of the nature of some of the guests, we'll also make sure that we pick questions that, you know, are, shall I say, worthy of us as we go through it. So please have that open. It's fine to have your phones out during the session. We don't mind. This isn't a... Who's the artist that shouted at everybody because they were filming it on their phones?
I don't know.
There you go.
Thanks.
Excellent. So that one. You're perfectly free to do that, and indeed you should. So let's just have a
practice.
A practice, yeah. Let's have a wee practice vote. So, if you go to voting on your little online platform, and everybody at home, you should have a voting button or a Slido button. It might say either one of those, depending on where you are. Then you'll see our first question, which is, which Landcat has been on TV the most? Is it Steve Nelson, Steve Nelson, Steve Nelson, or everyone else? Please keep voting, and we'll see how we do. What do you think it's going to be, Steve?
I don't know, man. The actual correct answer is surely Tom McPhail. But yeah, the thing about this is it's framing me as a little bit of a narcissist, but I am actually a nice person.
Yeah.
I'm put up to a lot of this.
Steve wrote the script.
I did not write the script. It is beautiful, though.
It is beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. Shall we call it there?
Yeah, there we go. Let's call it everyone else. Nice one.
Well, actually, no, you won. 51-49. Very close to a traditional kind of referendum-style result there.
Did I get voted out?
I'm definitely on the Ramona side there. Okay, so we've all got the hang of that, right? Right? Yeah. Thank you. Good. Okay, one more bit. We're just going to thank our sponsors, and then we'll get on with the day. You don't get to sit in a place like this without help, I can assure you. Imagine King's Cross 30 years ago, that's the standard that you'd probably be getting, unless we could get some help. And obviously, for everybody at home, it's free, and for all advice professionals in the room, it's free as well. And that's largely made possible thanks to all our sponsors, particular thanks to Quilter, who are our principal sponsor of the day, and have been a total pleasure to work with. It is not easy to be a sponsor of our events. I mean, it is, you just got to give us money. But at the same time, I know, having sat through so many, when the chief exec of the sponsor shuffles up and does a tight 10 minutes on how great their products are and all that kind of stuff, and everybody wants to die. We don't allow any of that stuff, and we ask every sponsor just to be happy with the fact that we're going to create a good day and they can be associated with it and be part of something that we hope is fun and gets everybody together, and everybody's done it in that spirit. So huge thanks to Quilter for our principal sponsor. If you're watching at home, you do so thanks to the generosity of Morningstar Wealth, who have sponsored our streaming platform. It's not a small thing. There literally are people dotted around the country making sure stuff's going well. It's not a kind of a small undertaking. And if you're in the room and you're drinking later, which I hope most of you will be, and obviously responsibly at least until about 9 o'clock, then you do so thanks to Nucleus, who are our evening sponsor this year, and all our other sponsors, 7IM, Aviva Wealth, FNZ and Scottish Widows, all out there. Please do go and spend a little bit of time with these guys. I hope you enjoy the day. I hope you have a fantastic time, and we will leave it there. Thank you very much.
Please.